I want to dive into this podcast. Something really interesting happened yesterday, and I thought I'd share it with you guys. I'm going to share a little footage from it too. But yesterday was a full circle type of day. And what am I talking about? Well, basically, I ended up going back to the facility that my son was at for almost a year. And he got out of his facility back in June, actually a day before my birthday. And we've been just watching him flourish since then, on top of just walking with him through it all. Just really, I'm so incredibly proud. But that being said, this ministry that was inside the facility has great favor, and I ended up actually partnering with them and doing graffiti art in a government facility, putting scriptures on the wall. And I always felt like I wanted to come back once he had left and do something to speak to the kids that were in there also, and really to bring some Christian hip hop to the spot. So I did a lot of juvenile detention center stuff back in the day. So it is still really close to my heart. So anyway, my man Sam Giannis hit me up and he wanted me to host an event that he couldn't make in Tampa. And I'll get to this part in a second because this one is even more crazy significant. And so the two things really worked out well. But I didn't have anybody to go with me in there from a Christian hip hop standpoint. So I actually texted the group chat of all the Christian hip hop artists that were going to be at the event, the outreach that afternoon. And I said, hey, anybody, and this was literally that morning. I said, anybody want to come by, share a little bit of hope with some kids, hit me up. I'll be here from this time to this time, blah, blah, blah. And I had a bunch of them come. So shout out to BRB, shout out to Songbird, shout out to B. Cody Shields and Calvin Pettigrew. They all were able to come through and kick a song and be in there. Some of them never done that type of ministry. Others were like, let's go. The point being is, it's crazy to know that I was going back to a place that in a lot of ways was like a pain point. You know what I mean? Like me and my wife were visiting my son like every weekend, getting in the car, 2 hours up, 2 hours back. Also my mom, who, has since passed away, was an hour away going through her, decline on dementia. So like 2025 was insane. You know what I mean? It just feels like a blur, honestly. So every once in a while to come back to where your pain points are and to see God's goodness is incredible, right? And it's incredible to see that because on top of that, my son drove up and I got to interview him with the kids in there about basically, where he was, where he is now, and where he's going. And to see him, just doing really well financially, to see him holding it down at 18, 19 years old is like, I don't know, it's crazy. But then to be able to use that as a testimony, and I obviously didn't force him to come up. He came up on his own. But to use that to allow him to speak into some kids in there that probably need to hear that somebody else has, gone on to some level of success is just that powerful. And also, my man Ron White from my church came up, spoke, and I really just shared something with them about the prodigal son. And I kind of recontextualized this prodigal son story. But really what I was trying to say was like, look, in the story of the prodigal son, the father runs to the prodigal when he comes home before the son even recognizes it. And God is waiting for you, but he's running to you, whether you recognize it or not. And I watched almost 80% of the kids respond to that in there. We got to pray with them, and I don't know what to say. I don't have any footage of it. I don't have any pictures of it. I don't have anything. And the reason why, it's obviously it's a juvenile detention, or it's a facility. You can't bring your phones in. You can't start snapping pictures. You can't shoot video. But just understand the irony again of the whole moment is that back in November at Flavor Fest, Tommy Cologne, Urban Disciple, asked me to speak on longevity. And what I spoke about was, you need to run to your pain. If you don't run to your pain, your pain's going to run to you. And really just talking about, if you want longevity in what you do, you've got to confront your pain points. You've got to go at them. You cannot allow them to run you. You have to run them. And obviously you go at them with the Lord. So the point being is, I was watching something I shared back in November become a...
I've had to live it out for the last 2 years. And I want to share this phrase to you. And the phrase is this: you either run to your pain or your pain will run to you. Okay? I'll say it again. You either run at your pain. If you want longevity, you have to be able to run at your pain, or the pain's going to find you. And I say that because there's a date that lives in my head. It's probably lived in my head for the rest of my life. It's August 7th, 2024, is when my oldest son was sentenced. And for the last year or so, we've lived out what that's like to have someone who's incarcerated. And I say that because as a father, I can only just tell you the things that run through your head when your son is behind bars. And on top of that, my mom has been dealing with memory issues, and so I've watched the pain bubble up. And there came a point where, as I sat in those spaces waiting to visit my son,
reality. And that's the first half of the day. The other half of the day was the event that my man Sam hooked me up with. And at the event, I did the GPS location on it, and it was 1 mile north. Like I could have walked to where I grew up in Ybor City. And for those who know what Ybor City is, now it's kind of like a place of bars and clubs, and it's pretty touristy. It's kind of family friendly. But when I grew up in Ybor in the 80s, a little bit into the 90s, really just the 80s, like it's someplace you did not go after 6 o'clock, right? You know, we had our front window was shot out. We had, you couldn't get a pizza. The neighborhood was so bad, the pizza delivery company would not come and deliver a pizza, and I don't need to go into like all the blah, blah, blah about Ybor City. If you know it, cool. If not, not a big deal. But Ybor represents a lot to me. You know what I mean? Like it represents a lot of things that made me, you know what I mean? Because I grew up in an artist studio. I grew up, the first time I did anything on a stage was in Ybor at what was called the Cuban Club, where I did plays and, acting and improv and stuff like that. The first place I ever did anything creative was in Ybor. And, there's pain stuff that happened to me in Ybor too. I'm not going to, again, point is I'm not trying to go into it. The point what I'm getting at is for me to do an outreach 1 mile away in a neighborhood that normally I probably would have gotten robbed in, that now, you've watched I don't know if it's urban renewal, gentrification, or just the change. I mean, it's still a hood neighborhood, but it's gotten a lot cleaner and a lot nicer. And to go in there and with some Christian hip hop and to bring and add some value to a neighborhood was crazy. So like, what a day of like absolute full circle redemption. That's the only way I can describe it. And so I'm going to show you a little clip of my freestyle while I was there. It was really at the end. Pretty much everybody had moved out. Everything is shut down, but I can't resist the beat and a freestyle. So here's a little clip from my freestyle, so check it out.
Don't claim to flow dapper, but this is just a game I little like to call Stump the Rapper. Shout out to the girls, ladies in the back. I like the way you've been rocking for the whole time like that. Hey, hold up, I'm about to rap again. Put that hand up in there if it's a cloth or a napkin. There it is. I'm about to go. I'm about to rock it with the flow. All my people, yo. All right, give me the first object, hold it in the air. Hold it in the air, and you will never care. Yeah, hold up. Man, I am just changed because Jesus took the keys to death, hell, plus the grave. Now the keys is all up in his hand. My life is now changed because of the Son of Man. He's the King of Kings, the only one I know. I came to rock it. There's Dominic. I'm like, yo, he's the man to put the whole thing on. So this right here, I dedicate the whole song. Yep, every time I keep on napping. Your name is Don, but I'ma call you a champion. Like that thing up on your shirt. Cause I was changed all around, man, my soul was so hurt. But Christ came in and now I'm rearranged. Now y'all be looking at me like I'm so strange. Yeah, hold up, now you about unity. We in the Trinity and we all be representing unity. Black, white, every time I keep on blazing, you could be brown, Hispanic.
Anyway, here's what I just want to say is that God is in the business of redeeming your situation. He is in the business of taking what seems very impossible, very frustrating, very hard to deal with, and he wants to create some beauty out of it. And I've watched him do that in my life over and over and over and over. It is the story of the 5 loaves and 2 fish, how Jesus takes 5 loaves and 2 fish, multiplies it. That's why I go with KJ5 too. All right. So the other thing I'm really excited to let you know, I'm going to put a little clip of it here too, is Jesus is the King and he's alive. You can get that as a free download right on my website, kj52.com. And I'm super excited how it turned out. So I'm going to end this video with that, and I'm going to take my kid home. All right. God bless.
Jesus is the King and he's alive. Hallelujah. Jesus is alive. I look down, changed, and I see it every time. I will only bow to the one we call the Christ. Hallelujah. Jesus is alive. Come on. Bring it. He alive in my life, will reside in the water, provide all the grace when I try to run away, but I'm changed when I stray and to find every day ain't the same. so I'm raising my eyes to the hills where my help come from. I know that he's real and he will not go. Know what I feel in this feeling now, bro. Never feel what appears in the great unknown. It's how I got hope. What you gonna say now, though? When he changed my soul, rearranged my road. Yeah. Took a shame and the pain I hold. Made a change when I call upon the name I know. Let's go. Forever and ever, I say it, remember, whatever the time. On earth as in heaven, we sing hallelujah. All praises due to the one that's alive. Bring it back like. On earth as in heaven, we'll sing hallelujah. All praises is due to the one that is alive. Jesus, 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 Jesus. Jesus is the King and he's alive. Hallelujah. Jesus is alive. I look down chains and I see it every time. I will only bow to the one we call the Christ. Hallelujah. Jesus is alive. He alive and I'm thinking I know, realize and realize everything. I'm a hold every scheme I devise, every team, every time I can see that I found a piece in the road. Oh, the road is so never, I'm straight up my goal. Cause I own the sparrow, I'm changing my road. I walk in the spirit, you feel it. I aim like an arrow that's leaving the boat. He never left me alone, the one who just sits on the throne. All of the glory we own, we lay at your feet. We fall to your knees cause you rose. Forever we know, we walk in the victory road. These people you came and you chose, I'm letting my people just know the truth that we hold. We sing till you calling us home, bring it back like all of the glory we own. We lay at your feet as we fall to our knees cause you rose.